analytics, we mentioned that already. Planning is one big thing, where you can plan and look into the future with algorithms, with models into the future, and can do predictive or manual planning with your data, not just looking in the past as you do with analytics, but also doing the same processing also for the future with planning and predictive. And last but not least, we have streaming in the graph store. Streaming I already mentioned. That's the way of how to load data into the system if you have these huge amount of data which are coming from the RFIDs and from the chips. There you speak about hundreds of millions of events which you get per minute. And of course, this is a big challenge to load these data into the database and not overwhelm the system with a huge amount of data. Very important. And of course, the graph store, which is allowing us to analyze graph structures in the system and doing operations on the graph stores like like neighborhood analysis or descendant analysis and these kind of things. And the big message here in the database world is that this is all in one system. You don't have to install a lot of systems, a lot of executables and these kind of things. This is already integrated into HANA, so this is the offering from the database perspective. We are integrating that now, that's quite new, with our application server offerings. You know, we have this standard application server, our standard SAP application server, which is running on HANA. We are now developing, and we have first versions already out, an integrated application server also in HANA, where we do integrated processing from database and application servers. What is the benefit of that? First of all, it's a TCO argument. You don't have to, if you use that offering, you don't have to install two different systems, a database and an application server as two different systems. This is integrated into one offering. Again, a big TCO aspect. Second, it is offering a lot of services which you normally don't get just by using a database. So you have services like master data management, data quality, and administration of your landscape. You just have to administrate just one landscape instead of having two, one scaling with the application servers and second scaling with the database. And of course you have a lot of performance improvements because you are doing that totally integrated with the database. And why can we do that? Because we as SAP are the providers of the application server, of the database and the applications. So we are the provider who can integrate that into one offering, into one system without this overhead of having multiple systems. And last but not least, and that was mainly discussions we had here in Bulgaria, we integrate that now, deeply integrated with our cloud services. So the cloud services will be integrated part of our platform offering and will be part of our HANA story. This means the services which we have here, identity management, connectivity, replication, metering, document services, this will be part of what we are doing as our big HANA story. So you have an integrated system where you can run on-premise, on demand, where you have the services which you need for business applications and which you can develop. And when we look at other cloud offerings which are out there in the market, and there are a lot, our big advantage is that we know our SAP systems, we know our backend systems, we know how to deal with the data which are coming from there, and we know how to build business applications. We did that for the last 40 years. So we know what you need when writing business applications. We know that you need currency conversion. We know that you need data quality. We know that you have to handle with your master data. And all these services are integrated in the platform. You don't have to build them by your own. We have the knowledge, and we integrated the knowledge out of 40 years of application development, app server development, into our new platform, which consists of three parts: the database, application server and cloud services now integrated into one system. The integration is not a stupid integration, installing 100 executables and servers. This is an integrated offering in one landscape, in one offering. And of course, on top of that, we have now what we call the platform applications, which is not now the ERP systems, but which are applications which we offer to our customers as basic applications. And one is, of course, integration and orchestration. That means how do you integrate your systems, your ERP systems, your BW systems, your SuccessFactors systems, but also external systems with our cloud offering. How do you bring, and our on-premise offering, how do you bring the data? How do you analyze the data which are in your Salesforce system? How do you analyze systems which are wherever? How do you bring them together in a process That is what integration and orchestration is. Enterprise search is one of my favorite topics because I'm coming from development from that area. Is how can you do a Google-like search? So very easy access to your system on relational, unstructured data. Of course, we know that all from the internet and how to do that with this unstructured data, this text. Now the challenge is how do you do that with your objects, with your business object, with sales data, all this kind of data without knowing what you are really where you have to look at. And you can imagine how much data you have to scan in order to do a search of, let's say, of a company like Coca-Cola. You're just searching for Coca-Cola and then you get the sales orders, you get the master data, you get all the data which you have in your system. That you can do just with the speed, if you have the speed in the system that you can do that in under 1 second. And this is a new entry point and a new way of how you can deal with your systems. We have metering, replication services, all this kind of thing. Here we have interesting applications. Sentinel is a portfolio management which we are doing. We are doing a lot of investment in planning and consolidation. That means, how do you plan your budget for next year? How do you plan your spending for next year? How do you plan your headcounts and your projects for next year? And what is needed in a system to build such planning application and how do you adapt it to your purposes? When we look at application, there is almost no application and no service which doesn't want to look a little bit into the future and does planning for the future, for the next year, for the next half year, for the next 2 years. That is the same, we're seeing that as the same as analytics. And currently the companies have a lot of focus on analytics, that's very important. But what we are seeing is that looking forward and having a kind of a guarantee and stability, how you can predict the future, how you can plan the future, is a very important topic. So that's the future, what we are seeing from SAP. Again, we are very focused and very engaged here to do a lot of development here in Bulgaria. We have a lot of other locations which are contributing, but especially here we are proud that we are here, and I think that's also a good chance for you as our customers, that you have the guys who know about what we are doing, the professionals, the real developers here in Bulgaria, which gives you a much easier way of getting the information and getting really good support. Thank you.